Right, we're back live tonight. Let's get back to this conversation then on the power utility. It's been less than 3 months now since Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa was sworn in as South Africa's electricity minister, but the National Union of Mineworkers in the Highveld region has already lost confidence in him, calling him a navigator that has lost its direction. NUM Highveld region chairperson Malekutu Motubatse joins us now for more on that. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. We heard in one of the briefings that was done by the EFF this past week that the only achievement that the Minister of Electricity can cite in the 3 months that he's been there is the fact that he took a tour and visited some power stations. Is that the sense that you're getting as NUM?
No, yes, indeed. In fact, we categorize it as a vacation. Since he was appointed, he only embarked on a vacation to the power stations. Maybe he wanted to see how the power stations are operating, but he has not yet provided any solution to the challenges that were confronted.
And why do you think, if in your view the solutions are so simple, would he not be able to at least give some kind of direction and semblance of a direction towards something?
When you look at the load losses that we are taking, because you'll remember or you'll know that these load losses are leading to load shedding. It is on the basis of operation. Majority of these power stations, they are either the units are off or they've got load losses. It is merely because of operations. If during his vacation he listened attentively to the employees, some of these issues he should have dealt with by now, and we are not going to have these load losses that we are currently having. So we are not supposed to be subjected to this stage 6 if he had listened attentively.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's look at the messaging that we have been getting, at least for the past 2 weeks, that's being repeated over and over again, is that Kusile's units, I think 2 of them are out, and the Kuberg, one of the units there is out, and therefore we are losing 3,000 megawatts of energy that we should be having as we are going into winter. Are you saying there is something that we could do at this particular point, at least in the couple of weeks that since he did the tour, that we could have been able to salvage or get those 3,000 megawatts on board? Yes,
we have been very consistent, by the way, Thabo, as the National Union of Mineworkers. We have mentioned 4 power stations, that if you can get those power stations right, you forget about Kusile, forget about Kubek. We have mentioned Kendal, we have mentioned Matla, we have mentioned Tutuga, and also Majuba. These 4 power stations can be able to mitigate the load shedding that we are confronted with. Currently, because we are in constant discussions with our members in these power stations, currently you've got load losses at Matla that are, of course, are created by some of them. We're told by members that I think it's unit 2 that has 260 megawatts currently. It's because of oil burners, so they cannot ramp up because Matla, each unit is supposed to be giving 600 megawatts. So unit 1 is 100, unit 2 is 260, unit 3 it's around 200 as well. These are the load losses. When you go to Tutuga, we're only running with 3 units. 3 units are off, and Tutuga also it's 600 megawatts. When you go to Kendal, you've got 4 units that are running, 2 are out. So you've got the 1,200 megawatts also out. So if the minister focused on our earlier points that we have made, I'm telling you now, we're not going to have this challenge that we're confronted with.
So how are we supposed to curb these load losses? At Matla, let's just focus there. What needs to happen? What are the workers saying needs to happen there?
The leadership of the NUM in that branch, they are saying that there is no proper plans as to how you should then avail, because oil burners, it's something that must be serviced, and as and when it is serviced, it will have to be put back into the boiler, and you are able to ramp up the megawatts. But then you have got people who are not even willing to do their work. If Minister of Electricity was in consistent contact with these power stations, I'm telling you, some of these issues were just going to be dealt with. But we believe that he's spending most of his time in union building, forgetting that he's not a minister of union building, but he's a minister of electricity.
Yeah. So we heard something today, for example, when the Minister of Public Enterprises was with Scopa, that some of the units, because of counterfeit parts, are in a state where the system operators would tell you that we are not even sure when this particular unit will break down, because the part that has been put there is not the actual part. We don't know when it was put in. We don't know what part it is. We don't know how it will hold up. So we can't even say when this particular unit would need to go to maintenance. What is the cause of that?
It's corruption. Remember, I've been very consistent that corruption is the reason why we've got load shedding. When the very same minister came back, he said, no, he has not seen any corruption. This load shedding is not because of corruption. And we defied. We defied with him. We said, no. The reason we've got load shedding is because of corruption. We have spoken with the very same minister that you are mentioning, Pravin Gordhan. We said that when we've got what we call an outage, it's like taking your car into service. The parts that are being put into the units are not the parts that are of originality in their nature. Because people, they want to make profit. They will come with counterfeit parts and use those parts. But because we don't have a monitoring, in actual fact, we have said to the Minister Pravin Gordhan, we must have a monitoring and evaluation committee. In that, after the outage, that committee must then check, do inspection and check that the parts that have been replaced are of original in their nature. Because what is happening now, after outage, you will just be told by a contractor that you are done servicing the unit, then commission that particular unit. And you don't even check. 2 days, 3 days, the unit will break down again.
So if, for example, we are to do what you are saying at Kendall, at Matla, at Tutuga, at Majuba, how soon could we be in a space where we normalize the system? At least we are not at these high stages of rolling blackouts.
Well, we believe that if we can get a minister who has a will, who is committed, who is taking his job serious, by the way, because we are convinced that this minister is not taking his job serious. He's not serious. He's playing. We want to believe that it can be a man. A man who can be able to take this stage of load shedding to two, if not one. But like we have indicated, there's a crisis in Mata now. The minister is not aware. Each unit is supposed to be giving you 600. They are running with 100. They are running with 200. But another point that we want to also add, Tabu. Hendrina Power Station, it has 4 units that are being decommissioned. It's Unit 1, it's Unit 3, it's Unit 8, and Unit 9. If these units can be recommissioned, it will also assist in terms of load shedding. When these units were decommissioned, we were told that we've got enough electricity. And they were put in what it is called cold reserve. We were told that when there is a need for electricity, these units will be recommissioned. I'm telling you now, those units are just idling there, and nobody is speaking about them. This minister should have known that if you can bring the 4 units in Hendrina, but because they are afraid of the USA and Britain, because they promised them that we'll make sure that we fast-track the issue of just energy transition, we find ourselves in this crisis.
Interesting that you bring up the question of just energy transition. I heard, I don't know whether this is a new thing or maybe it's something that has been there for a while, but certainly it's the first time I'm hearing it being articulated in such a way. Minister Gwede Mantashe says the renewables office is telling him that even with the megawatts that they have and that they could possibly provide, that we need, we are currently in a situation where we don't have grid capacity. It's a new word that is beginning to come up now, grid capacity. What does it mean? And is it something that has always been known? And so what has been done around this question of creating grid capacity?
Look, our understanding is that he talks about a base load, and it is only the power stations currently that can be able to provide the country with a base load. These renewables, for now, they can't provide us with that. If you will then want to move from generating electricity from fossil power stations and you want to go to the renewables, you will collapse this country. Currently, renewables are very weak. They can't even assist now while we're in stage 6. They can't assist. That is why we believe that the process of just energy transition, it must not be rushed because it has a potential of collapsing the economy of this particular country. A base load currently in the country can only be provided by power stations.
So what would need to happen to be able to have grid capacity that will be able to handle renewables? I mean, what I've heard was that we need huge battery storage, and that's one of the things that we need to certainly have as far as this renewable power is concerned, and we currently don't have that capacity of battery storage. But in terms of grid capacity, what would we need to do?
Yes, it is a matter of the battery storage. It should be huge, and it should be able to contest, or you must be able to compare it with the fossil power stations. But for now, I don't think that even the country it has financial muscles to go through that particular direction. And for now, ours is just to solve our problems through fossil power stations. Ours is just to make sure that units that are decommissioned, like we have indicated, Hendrina power stations are brought back. And when the energy availability factor has been stabilized, that is why then we can say, how then do we move towards the renewables? But for now, we've been very consistent that what is happening now is that they are milking from Eskom. That is why Eskom does not even have money to buy oil burners at Matla Power Station, because it is focusing on paying these renewables that are just useless.
Malekutu, appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for coming on. National Union of Mineworkers in the Highveld region, the chairperson there, Malekutu Motubatse, saying the Minister of Electricity actually is not serious. That's how they are taking the actions that he has taken, at least in the last couple of days.